Modern engineering cannot recreate the concrete that heals its own cracks. This is just one of 25 ancient technologies that defy our current understanding. By the end of this journey, you will see human history in a completely new light. We will uncover how civilizations without blueprints or computers built structures that have lasted for thousands of years. Why were these methods lost, and what does their existence say about our own technological path? What does true innovation look like to you? We often think of history as a steady upward climb, but this perspective crumbles when we look at the ancient world. These civilizations achieved feats that seem to belong to a different timeline altogether. They did not have our digital models or structural engineering software. Instead, they possessed a profound, almost symbiotic relationship with the world around them. Their greatest constructions were not imposed upon the landscape but grew from it, using celestial patterns as their guide and local materials as their medium. The movement of the sun, moon, and stars was their blueprint. The resilience of stone and the flow of water were their collaborators. This approach resulted in monuments that have withstood millennia of earthquakes, wars, and weather, while some of our own concrete and steel structures show their age within a single human lifetime. This was not a primitive era. It was a different kind of genius, one that mastered integration over domination. The true puzzle for modern researchers is not the physical weight of the stones they moved, but the intellectual weight of the principles they clearly commanded. How did they calculate such precise alignments or formulate such durable materials without leaving behind the textbooks and equations we depend on? Their knowledge was embedded in tradition, in song, and in the very alignment of their temples. This foundational understanding transforms our entire view of the past, setting the stage for the specific and astounding technologies we are about to uncover. These ancient harbors, still standing strong after 2,000 years, silently challenge our modern assumptions. The Romans did not simply build with concrete, they engineered a living material. Their secret was not a single substance, but a specific recipe. They mixed lime with a special volcanic ash known as pozzolana, and then they used seawater itself as the final, crucial ingredient. When combined, these materials begin a slow, quiet chemical dance. Over decades and even centuries, a rare mineral called aluminous tobamorite crystallizes within the concrete. When a tiny crack forms, these crystals grow into the gap, seamlessly fusing the material back together. It is a self-healing process, a technology of patience and profound intelligence. Modern engineers have spent years in laboratories trying to replicate this exact reaction. Yet they struggle to achieve the same intricate mineral structures and the incredible longevity. Our own concrete, by contrast, often begins to degrade within mere decades when exposed to the harsh marine environment. The Romans created a sustainable cycle, using local volcanic materials and the sea itself to build structures meant to last for ages. This was not an accident, it was a mastery of chemistry that we are only now beginning to fully appreciate. While Roman concrete healed itself, another ancient material possessed a different kind of life, a visible strength etched into its very surface. Damascus steel blades are famous for their flowing, watery patterns and a near-mythical sharpness. These were not mere weapons, they were masterpieces of metallurgy, forged from a unique type of high-carbon steel from India known as woots. The method for creating these blades was a closely guarded secret, passed down through generations of skilled smiths until the technique vanished entirely in the 18th century. What was lost was far more than a recipe. Modern scientists, examining ancient blades under powerful microscopes, made a startling discovery. They found carbon nanotubes within the steel's intricate structure. These microscopic tubes, a form of advanced nanotechnology, are believed to be the source of the steel's incredible resilience and its ability to hold a devastatingly sharp edge. We can identify these components, yet the full art of their creation escapes us. The precise composition of the original iron ore, the exact sequence of heating and hammering, the slow cooling cycles that coaxed these nanostructures into being, all of this knowledge faded into history. Recreating a blade that looks the part is one thing, but replicating the legendary performance of true Damascus steel remains a monumental challenge for modern metallurgy. This was not just metalworking, it was a high art form that integrated a deep, intuitive understanding of material science, a knowledge we are only now beginning to comprehend with our most advanced tools. From the micro-world of forged metal, we now turn to a construction technique of almost impossible precision. The same mastery of materials extended into a weapon that seemed to defy the very laws of nature. Greek fire was the Byzantine Empire's ultimate naval advantage, a liquid flame that could not be quenched by water. Imagine the terror of an opposing fleet witnessing a stream of fire launched from a siphon, clinging to the surface of the sea and consuming their wooden ships in an unstoppable inferno. This was not merely a flammable substance, it was a sophisticated chemical weapon whose exact formula was a state secret of the highest order. Knowledge of its creation was so closely guarded that it died with the empire itself, lost to history. Modern theories suggest it likely involved a mixture of crude petroleum, quicklime, and other unknown ingredients that reacted violently upon contact with water. Yet the mystery goes far deeper than the recipe alone. The true engineering challenge was its delivery system. How did the Byzantines project this unstable, volatile liquid over a distance without it igniting prematurely or destroying their own vessels? They employed a complex system of pressurized siphons, likely using pumps and heated bronze tanks to create a continuous, flaming jet. Recreating this today is a dual puzzle of both chemistry and mechanical engineering. We can hypothesize about the ingredients, but the precise mechanism for safely pressurizing and deploying the substance in the heat of battle remains an unsolved mystery. This represents a complete lost chapter in the history of chemical warfare and delivery systems, a terrifyingly effective technology that secured naval dominance for centuries and then vanished without a trace. From a weapon of liquid fire, we now turn to a monumental architectural puzzle built from stones that fit together with a perfection that should have been impossible. The intricate bronze gears of the Antikythera Mechanism, recovered from the deep whisper of a technological lineage we never knew existed. This was not a simple calendar, but a hand-cranked cosmos in a box, a device of staggering complexity from a time we thought was devoid of such engineering. With its interlocking dials and precision-cut gears, it could calculate the movements of the sun and moon, predict upcoming eclipses, and even track the 4-year cycle of the Olympic Games. The sophistication is so advanced that nothing comparable would appear in Europe for over 1,000 years. It is, in every sense, the world's first known analog computer. Modern researchers have only been able to decode its full capabilities by using high-powered X-ray tomography to peer inside the corroded remains. The mechanism required a profound understanding of astronomy and a level of miniaturized gear work that seems to belong to a different historical timeline altogether. To build a working replica today requires computer modeling and precision machining tools that simply did not exist in the historical record of 200 years before the Common Era. Its very existence forces us to ask a difficult question. Was this a singular, miraculous invention, or is it the sole surviving artifact from an entire tradition of complex mechanical technology that was lost to the ages? It suggests a hidden current of knowledge flowing beneath the surface of our accepted history. From this complex machine of bronze and intellect, we now shift to a substance that seems almost mundane by comparison, yet its creation was equally shrouded in mystery. Another object that seems to defy its own era rests quietly in a museum, a Roman drinking vessel known as the Lycurgus cup. At first glance, it appears to be a solid, opaque jade green. But hold a light source behind it, and the entire cup undergoes a magical transformation, glowing a translucent, fiery ruby red. This phenomenon is called dichroism, a property that modern materials science struggles to engineer so perfectly. The secret was not in any dye or pigment, but in the glass itself. Roman artisans had somehow infused the glass with a precise suspension of gold and silver particles, but these were not mere flakes. They were nanoparticles, each 1,000th of times smaller than a grain of sand. The cup is in effect a masterpiece of ancient nanotechnology. Creating such a uniform dispersion of metallic nanoparticles requires incredibly precise control over temperature and chemistry, a process we now achieve with complex laboratory equipment like centrifuges and electrolysis. The Romans did it without any understanding of atomic theory, likely through a combination of grinding metal powders with specific acids and then carefully heating the glass. They were not just making a beautiful cup, they were manipulating the very behavior of light at a submicroscopic level. This was an empirical science refined to an art form, a technology that would not be rediscovered for well over a millennium. It stands as a quiet, shimmering testament to a lost world of material mastery, where the line between craft and high science was beautifully and permanently blurred. Deep within the limestone of Malta lies an underground sanctuary known as the Hypogeum, a labyrinth of chambers carved over 5,000 years ago. In one specific room, now called the Oracle Chamber, a simple spoken word transforms into something profound. A deep male voice does not merely echo, it amplifies, its resonance traveling clearly through the dark corridors and reaching every part of the complex. This is not a quirk of the space, but a deliberate feat of acoustic engineering. The Neolithic builders carved the chamber with a specific curvature, its walls and ceiling shaped to capture and project the resonant frequency of the human voice. Modern acousticians, with their sophisticated sound modeling software, find it incredibly difficult to achieve such a pure and powerful effect with such simple tools. The builders possessed an intuitive, almost mystical grasp of how sound waves behave, how they reflect and amplify within a space. They were not just carving stone, they were tuning the very air itself, designing an auditory experience that has not been duplicated for millennia. This suggests their architecture was as much about the transmission of sound as it was about ritual and ceremony. From this world of engineered resonance, we journey to a city where the stones themselves seem to defy gravity. The seamless joins of Sacsayhuaman's walls are a stone puzzle that defies simple explanation. These are not mere blocks, but colossal, irregular pieces of limestone, some weighing more than 100 tons, each one a unique, interlocking piece of a giant's jigsaw. How could a civilization without iron tools, without the wheel, have quarried, transported, and shaped these behemoths with such impossible accuracy? The joints are so tight that for centuries, not even the thin blade of a razor can find a gap. This was not just about preventing entry, it was about creating a structure that could breathe and move as one. The true genius of the Inca masons reveals itself during the powerful earthquakes that shake the region. While modern buildings of concrete and steel often crack and crumble, these ancient walls simply shudder and settle, the intricate puzzle of their construction allowing the entire fortress to sway as a single, resilient entity. Modern engineers, with all their diamond-tipped saws and computer modeling, cannot replicate this technique. The method for softening the stone, for calculating the complex three-dimensional angles, for fitting each piece through a process of trial and error that must have required an almost supernatural patience, all of this knowledge has been lost. It suggests a profound, tactile understanding of stone itself, a craft where the material was not forced but persuaded into place. This mastery of joining solid rock leads us to another ancient wonder, one that relied not on stone, but on a different kind of bond entirely. Scattered across the hills of Scotland stand ancient forts with walls that have turned to glass. This is vitrification, a process that fuses stone together under heat so intense it transforms the rock into a glossy, slag-like substance. To achieve this, temperatures must soar beyond 1,100 degrees Celsius, a thermal threshold incredibly difficult to reach and maintain across an entire wall structure, even with modern equipment. The sheer scale of the phenomenon defies simple explanation. Was this a deliberate act of construction, a forgotten method of creating walls of impossible strength? Or was it the catastrophic result of ancient conflicts, where besiegers used some unknown incendiary weapon to melt the very ramparts? Researchers have attempted to recreate the effect by building small replica walls and setting immense fires against them. While they can produce localized patches of vitrification, they have never managed to fuse a large structure from end to end as the ancients did. The secret may lie in a specific combination of rock types and an expertly controlled fire, a recipe for stone melting that has been completely lost. These silent, glassy ruins present a stark choice. They are either the remnants of a terrifying, forgotten weapon, or the evidence of a building technology so advanced we can scarcely comprehend its purpose. From this mystery of fused rock, our journey moves to a different kind of power, one that flowed not from fire, but from the earth itself. Tucked away in the basement of a museum is a simple clay pot that quietly appends our entire timeline of electrical discovery. This is the Baghdad Battery, a Parthian artifact dating back nearly 2,000 years. It is a deceptively simple object, just a clay jar housing a copper cylinder and an iron rod. Yet when filled with an acidic substance like vinegar or grape juice, this assembly does something extraordinary. It generates a small but consistent electric current. The effect is not powerful enough to light a lamp or charge a device, but it is unmistakably electricity. If this was its intended purpose, it means that the basic principles of the battery were understood and applied a full 18 centuries before Alessandro Volta presented his voltaic pile to the scientific world. The real and enduring mystery is not whether it could produce a charge, but why. What possible use could an ancient civilization have for such a subtle, low-level power? Some researchers suggest it could have been used for electroplating, to deposit a thin layer of gold or silver onto other metal objects, a process that requires only a minimal electrical current. Others theorize it may have had a ceremonial or even a therapeutic application, a form of early electrotherapy where the mild tingling sensation was interpreted as a magical or healing force. We may never know its true purpose for certain, as no written records or diagrams have been found to explain it. This single, humble jar forces a profound reconsideration. It suggests that the spark of electrical understanding flickered in the ancient world, a quiet precursor to the energy that now powers our modern lives. This potential for lost energy leads us to another civilization that seemed to command a different, equally mysterious force of nature. The silent, towering Moai of Easter Island stand as a testament to a different kind of ancient puzzle. These colossal stone figures, some weighing over 80 tons, were not simply carved and left in place. They were moved for miles across the island's rugged, hilly landscape, from the quarry where they were borne to their final coastal platforms. The Rapa Nui people achieved this without the wheel, without large animals to pull them, and without the metal tools we would consider essential. How did they walk these giants across the land? The question has fueled decades of debate and experimentation. One compelling theory suggests the islanders used a coordinated rocking motion, using ropes to literally walk the statues upright in a swaying, rhythmic dance. Small teams have demonstrated that this method can work for a short distance, making the multi-ton stone figure appear to stride forward with a slow, ponderous gait. Yet the theory remains hotly contested. Could such a delicate balancing act have been sustained for miles without catastrophic failure, without shattering the intricate statues on the uneven ground? The sheer scale of the endeavor points to something far beyond a simple trick. It speaks to a profound collective understanding of physics, leverage, and human coordination. This was not a haphazard effort, but a sophisticated logistical operation requiring the synchronized labor and unwavering patience of an entire community. It forces us to reconsider what is possible with nothing but human ingenuity, ropes, and a deep, shared purpose. The challenge of moving the immovable was a test faced by civilizations across the globe, leading to another mystery etched into a different continent's landscape. The Great Pyramid of Giza is a mountain crafted by human hands, a structure of such immense scale it seems to belong to the realm of geology, not human history. With an estimated 2.3 million stone blocks, each one averaging a weight of 2.5 tons, the project required more than just brute strength. It demanded an organizational genius that could coordinate thousands of workers, manage supply lines across the desert, and execute a design of near-perfect precision over a time frame of decades. The foundational corners are aligned to the cardinal directions with an error margin of just a fraction of a degree, a feat of surveying that would be impressive even with modern instruments. How did they achieve such accuracy with simple tools of copper and stone? The mystery only deepens when we consider the logistics. Theories about massive earthen ramps winding around the rising structure are compelling, but they present their own problems. The volume of material needed for such a ramp would have rivaled that of the pyramid itself. Other ideas suggest the use of clever counterweight systems, or even the lubrication of sand with water to reduce friction for sleds. Yet no single theory fully satisfies the incredible speed and efficiency implied by the historical timeline. This was not merely a tomb for a ruler, it was the ultimate expression of a civilization's unity, belief, and its profound understanding of mathematics and the cosmos. The true technology may have been less about a single secret tool and more about a lost system of project management and applied physics. A harmonious collaboration between human will and the principles of the natural world. While the Vikings crossed vast oceans in open longships, we now know they possessed a secret tool for navigating the world's most treacherous waters. Norse sagas speak of a magical sunstone, a crystal that could locate the sun's position on a completely overcast day or even after it had dipped below the horizon. For centuries, this was dismissed as mere legend, a fanciful myth. But modern science has revealed a startling truth. The sunstone was likely a piece of transparent calcite, a crystal that possesses a unique property known as birefringence. When you look through such a crystal at the sky, it filters polarized light, creating a distinct double image. By rotating the stone until the two images align in brightness, a skilled navigator can pinpoint the exact location of the sun, invisible to the naked eye. This was not magic, it was applied atmospheric physics. This sophisticated understanding of light polarization would have given Viking sailors a critical, almost supernatural advantage on their transatlantic voyages to places like Newfoundland. They could have navigated through fog, cloud, and the long twilight of northern summers with a confidence that other cultures would not achieve for centuries. Recreating this technique today requires not just the right crystal, but a deep, intuitive feel for the sky, a skill set that seems completely anachronistic for the era. It suggests their exploration was driven by a blend of bold seamanship and a quiet, empirical mastery of the natural world. This sophisticated navigation brings us to another maritime mystery, one that lies not in the hands of a sailor, but deep within the hull of a sunken ship. The Phaistos disk sits silently in its museum case, a small circle of fired clay that has defied understanding for over a century. Discovered on the island of Crete, this Minoan artifact from the 2nd millennium before the Common Era is unlike anything else ever found. Its entire surface is covered with 241 symbols, arranged in a tight clockwise spiral. There are human figures and animals, shields and arrows, all stamped with a clarity that feels utterly modern. And that is the first great mystery, the method of its creation. Each symbol was not carved by hand, but pressed into the soft clay using pre-formed punches, a technique identical to movable type printing. This technology would not appear again in Europe for another 3,000 years. The disk is not a written document in the traditional sense, it is a printed one. This suggests the existence of an entire workshop, a set of standardized punches used to create multiple copies of messages, yet no other examples have ever been discovered. The second, deeper mystery is the message itself. The script it uses is unique, unrelated to any other known writing system from the ancient world. Is it a religious hymn, a legal treaty, or a record of ancient trade? Without a Rosetta Stone to provide a key, the symbols remain a locked door. This small object represents a complete information system, a snapshot of a lost technology for storing and replicating knowledge. Its very existence implies a level of bureaucratic or ceremonial sophistication we never knew the Minoans possessed. A single, silent witness to a chapter of human innovation that was closed almost as soon as it was opened. From this puzzle of stamped symbols, we move to a form of architecture defined by its impossible perfection. Etched across the arid plains of Peru, the Nazca Lines stretch for miles in forms so immense they seem to belong to the sky itself. From the ground, you would see only shallow grooves in the reddish earth, but from the air, these lines coalesce into a breathtaking gallery of geometric shapes and animal figures. The most perplexing aspect is not their artistic beauty, but their impossible straightness. How did a culture without the balloon or the airplane create lines that run perfectly true for distances that can exceed 10 miles, traversing hills and valleys without the slightest deviation? The prevailing theory suggests they used a series of simple stakes and ropes to plot out these colossal designs. Yet, to achieve such flawless linearity across such vast and uneven ground required more than just careful measurement. It demanded a profound, almost intuitive grasp of geometry and spatial relationships on a scale we can scarcely comprehend. This was not casual artistry. It was an act of precision engineering applied to the landscape itself. Modern surveyors, with their laser levels and GPS satellites, would find the task of replicating this feat with only stakes and sighting poles to be a monumental challenge. The lines do not waver because the vision behind them was absolute. This suggests a communal effort guided by a shared, sacred blueprint, a plan so deeply understood that it could be executed over generations without error. The true purpose of these desert canvases remains one of history's great enigmas. Were they ceremonial pathways, a celestial calendar mapped onto the earth, or messages intended for beings who walked the sky? Their silent, sprawling presence forces us to reconsider the very nature of human communication and our relationship with the land. This urge to reshape the earth on a grand scale was not unique to a single culture, pointing toward a universal human impulse to leave a mark that transcends the individual. The stonework at Tiwanaku presents a different kind of puzzle, one of impossible geometry. At the site of Pumapunku, you find stones that look less like ancient masonry and more like components from a modern machine shop. Massive blocks of granite and andesite, some of the hardest stones on the planet, have been sliced with surfaces so flawlessly flat they feel like glass. Their edges are perfectly square, and many feature bizarre, intricate channels and notches that interlock with other stones in a complex three-dimensional puzzle. The precision is so absolute that it defies the assumed capabilities of the pre-Incan civilization that built it. How could a culture without hardened steel tools achieve such a finish on such resilient material? There are no visible tool marks, no signs of chiseling or grinding that we would expect. This points to a lost method, a technique for working stone that was more akin to cutting butter than fracturing rock. Some researchers speculate about the use of specialized stone tools and abrasives, patiently applied over immense periods. Others suggest a form of sonic or vibrational technology, a lost science for making stone temporarily malleable. The true method remains one of the great enigmas of the ancient Americas. It is a level of craftsmanship that seems to belong to a future era, not a past one, leaving behind a silent, stone blueprint for a technology we can no longer comprehend. From this South American marvel of precision cutting, we find a parallel mystery in the East, one focused not on shaping stone, but on defying the relentless decay of time itself. Buried for over 2 millennia, the bronze weapons of the terracotta army emerged from the earth not as corroded relics, but with blades that still gleamed with a sharp, untarnished edge. This was no accident of preservation. Scientific analysis revealed a stunning secret. The swords were protected by an ultra-thin layer of chromium oxide, a coating that had shielded the metal from rust for 2,000 years. The existence of this protective film is a historical anomaly of the highest order. In the modern world, we apply chromium plating through a sophisticated process of electroplating, which requires a controlled electrical current to bond the metal to the surface. The ancient Chinese, however, had no such technology. Their method for depositing this microscopic, corrosion-proof shield remains a complete mystery. Researchers theorize they may have developed a complex chemical bath, perhaps using chromium-rich compounds from specific ores and employing a form of cementation or dip coating that somehow achieved the same result without a single volt of electricity. This was not a simple varnish. It was a precise, repeatable industrial process that ensured the weapons of the Emperor's eternal guard would remain perpetually battle-ready. To achieve such a consistent and durable coating without any understanding of electrochemistry speaks to a level of empirical material science that seems to defy its era. This mastery of preventing metal from decay presents a fascinating parallel to another ancient wonder, one that also manipulated metal, but for a purpose that was far more aesthetic and just as perplexing. The Iron Pillar of Delhi stands as a silent, uncorroded sentinel, a 7-ton column of forged iron that has endured 16 centuries of monsoons and humid air without succumbing to rust. This is not a matter of simple luck or a dry climate, but a profound and deliberate mastery of metallurgy. Modern analysis reveals the secret lies in a perfect storm of ancient craftsmanship. The iron used was remarkably pure, with a high phosphorus content and a very low amount of sulfur and manganese, impurities common in our modern industrial production. The blacksmiths of the Gupta dynasty employed a unique forging technique, meticulously hammering and consolidating the iron at a specific temperature, which encouraged the formation of a paper-thin, protective layer known as a passive film. This invisible shield, rich in phosphorus and iron compounds, bonds to the metal and actively resists the chemical reactions that cause corrosion. We understand the science behind this protective layer, yet we cannot replicate it on such a grand scale. Our blast furnaces and mass production methods introduce chemical elements that interfere with this natural passivation process. The pillar is a monument not just to a king, but to a forgotten art of purity and patience, a process we have yet to master. From this marvel of enduring metal, we shift our gaze to a structure whose endurance is written not in chemistry, but in the very stars themselves. Perched on a vertical cliff face, the hanging temple of Hengshan seems to float in defiance of gravity. Its wooden pavilions and narrow walkways cling to the rock, suspended over a sheer 75-meter drop, a sight that challenges our very understanding of stability. For 1,500 years, it has endured, not in spite of the mountain winds and tremors, but because of them. The temple's secret lies in a radical embrace of its environment. Its primary support comes not from a foundation on solid ground, but from oak crossbeams that are socketed directly into holes chiseled deep into the cliff itself. These beams are not just anchors, they are levers, transferring the structure's weight back into the mountain in a perfect demonstration of counterbalance. The builders possessed an intuitive, almost visceral understanding of load-bearing and stress distribution. They selected the oak for its unique combination of strength and flexibility, allowing the entire temple to sway and absorb seismic shocks like a tree bending in a storm, rather than rigidly resisting the force and shattering. Modern engineers, with their sophisticated computer models for finite element analysis, can now calculate the precise forces at play, and they are left in awe. The builders achieved this perfect harmony of architecture and geology without any digital simulations, relying instead on generations of accumulated wisdom about the behavior of wood and stone. This was not a reckless gamble, but a daring fusion of human intention with the immutable laws of physics, a testament to building with nature rather than against it. This profound integration with the natural world extends beyond the sacred and into the essential, to the very systems that fed entire civilizations. Beneath the sun-baked plains of ancient Persia, a hidden river flowed. This was the Qanat, a masterpiece of hydrological engineering that turned barren landscapes into blooming oases. Unlike open canals that lose precious water to the relentless sun, the Qanat was a network of underground tunnels, tapping into distant mountain aquifers and guiding the water for miles with a perfectly calculated, gentle slope. The brilliance of this system was in its elegant simplicity. A master well was first dug deep into the water table at the foot of a mountain. Then, a chain of vertical access shafts were sunk in a straight line toward the destination, sometimes spanning over 30 miles. From the bottom of these shafts, the main tunnel was painstakingly carved, connecting them all. The true marvel was the surveyor, who with nothing more than sighting poles and a water level, ensured the gradient remained flawless for the entire distance. A slope too steep would cause erosion and collapse. A slope too shallow would halt the water's flow entirely. Maintaining that perfect, barely perceptible decline over such vast distances seems almost impossible, a quiet testament to an empirical genius for reading the land itself. Modern engineers, armed with GPS and laser levels, can certainly replicate the concept, but the ancient Qanats they build today often lack the longevity of their predecessors. Many of the original systems, carved by hand over 2,000 years ago, still bring life, giving water to fields and communities, a sustainable solution that modern projects struggle to match. This was not just plumbing, it was a profound dialogue with the earth, a technology of patience that understood how to work in harmony with an arid environment. This ancient mastery of the skies and the earth finds a strange echo in a much smaller, but no less perplexing, object from a different civilization. Within the cool stone halls of the Hathor Temple at Dendera, a single relief carving ignites a debate that challenges our entire view of the ancient world. Etched into the wall is a strange and compelling image. It shows a large, bulbous shape like a stretched-out pear with a sinuous, snake-like form coiled inside. This inner form is held tight by a pair of arms, and the entire assembly is connected by a thick, cord-like line to a box that is being steadied by a kneeling figure. To some, this is an unmistakable depiction of an ancient light bulb. The bulb is the glass enclosure, the snake is the glowing filament, the arms are the supports, and the cable leads to a power source, a primitive battery not unlike the Baghdad jar. This interpretation suggests the Egyptians may have possessed a form of electrical illumination, a technology that could explain how they painted the deep, pitch-black interiors of tombs and pyramids with such perfect clarity, far from any natural light source. The official explanation from Egyptology is far more symbolic. It describes the scene as a mythological representation, showing a snake being born from a lotus flower, a symbol of creation and cosmic power. The so-called cable is a lotus stem, and the box is a divine womb. This is a perfectly valid reading, deeply rooted in known Egyptian iconography. Yet, the visual similarity is so striking that it forces a difficult question. Are we looking at a familiar symbol through a modern lens and seeing something that is not there? Or are we dismissing a literal depiction of a lost technology because it does not fit our historical timeline? The carving does not provide a definitive answer. Instead, it serves as a profound reminder that our understanding of the past is built on interpretation. We decode their world using the fragments they left behind, but we can never be entirely certain we are reading the message correctly. This enigmatic scene leaves us suspended between two realities, one symbolic and one startlingly technological, challenging us to consider just how much we have yet to learn about the ingenuity of those who came before. While the Iron Pillar of Delhi stood as a testament to defense against time, another legendary metal was forged for a more immediate kind of battle. In the hands of a Viking warrior, an Ulfberht sword was more than a weapon. It was a technological marvel that should not have existed in medieval Europe. Forged between the 9th and 11th centuries, these blades bore a name stamped into their steel, a maker's mark that became a legend. What set them apart was the material itself, a form of crucible steel of a purity that was centuries ahead of its time. While typical European swords of the era were made from inferior, slag-ridden iron that could bend or shatter in the heat of combat, the Ulfberht was different. Its carbon content was nearly 3 times higher, creating a blade that was at once incredibly flexible, ruthlessly sharp, and astonishingly durable. To achieve this, the raw iron had to be heated to an extremely high temperature within a sealed clay crucible, a process that burned away impurities and created a homogeneous high-carbon steel. The mystery is not just the method but the material's origin. This specific crucible steel technology was known in Central Asia, in regions like modern-day Iran and Afghanistan, a world away from the Viking homelands. How did this knowledge, or the raw ingots themselves, travel such vast distances to the forges of the north? Was it through trade routes that snaked across rivers and plains, or was it the plunder of distant lands? The answer was lost when the production of Ulfberht swords ceased. Modern blacksmiths, even with the aid of power hammers and precise temperature controls, have struggled to recreate the exact metallurgical balance. They can make a sword that looks the part, but replicating the unique combination of hardness and flexibility, the very soul of the Ulfberht, remains an elusive goal. This was not a common tool of war, but a premium product from a lost supply chain and a forgotten school of master smiths. The existence of such a superior offensive technology naturally makes one wonder about the defensive innovations it was meant to overcome. That massive limestone lintel, a single slab weighing over 20 tons, has held its position for more than 3,000 years. It is the entrance to the citadel of Mycenae, and its enduring strength is a masterclass in Bronze Age engineering. The true genius, however, is not just the lintel itself, but the empty space carved above it. This is the relieving triangle, a brilliant architectural innovation designed to solve a critical problem. The Mycenaean builders understood that the immense weight of the stone wall above would eventually crack even this colossal beam. So they left a triangular gap, filling it not with more stone, but with a lighter, sculpted panel of two lions. This simple void acted as a pressure valve, channeling the crushing weight of the superstructure down and around the sides of the gateway, rather than directly onto the lintel. It was a primitive but profoundly effective precursor to the arch, a concept that would not be fully realized for centuries. Consider the precision required to execute this. Using only levers, ropes, and earthen ramps, they had to hoist this multi-ton block into an exact position, knowing that any miscalculation in the angle or placement would render the entire relieving system useless. This was not mere construction, it was applied physics on a monumental scale, a clear demonstration of a deep, intuitive grasp of load-bearing mechanics that would lay the essential groundwork for every great stone arch and dome that followed in the classical world. This remarkable method of managing physical weight finds a fascinating parallel in a technology designed to manage the weight of information. While the Mycenaeans carved stone to manage physical weight, the Inca developed a system to manage the weight of an entire empire using nothing but knotted string. The Quipu was the administrative backbone of the largest empire in the pre-Columbian Americas, a complex array of colored cords where information lived not in ink, but in the twists and ties of knots. This was not a primitive tally system. It was a sophisticated, three-dimensional language of data, capable of recording vast amounts of information from census numbers and tax records to the intricate stories of mythology and history. Each element held meaning: the specific type of knot, its precise position on the string, and the color of the cord itself, all combined to create a rich, tactile record. Modern researchers have successfully cracked the numerical code, understanding how different knot clusters represented units, tens, and hundreds. Yet this is only the first layer of the mystery. The deeper, more profound challenge is that we are essentially data-literate people trying to read a poetic epic. We can count the numbers, but we have lost the story they were meant to tell. The true linguistic and historical narrative encoded in the Quipu's structure remains just beyond our grasp, a silent symphony of information we can see but not hear. Recreating this system today is not a matter of simply tying knots. It requires us to step into a completely different worldview, one where data was not flat on a page but had depth, texture, and color. It represents a fundamentally different way of thinking about memory itself, a technology that wove the very fabric of a civilization together, and whose full pattern we are still struggling to trace. Deep within the jungles of Costa Rica, hundreds of stone spheres lie scattered, as if a race of giants abandoned a colossal game of marbles. Carved from hard gabbro rock by the Diquis culture over 1,000 years ago, these orbs range from the size of a basketball to colossal spheres over 2 meters in diameter. Their near-perfect geometry is the heart of the mystery. How could a society without standardized measuring devices or metal tools achieve such an immaculate sphericity and glassy smooth finish? These are not roughly rounded stones, they are objects of startling mathematical precision. The prevailing theory suggests they were painstakingly shaped using other, smaller stones as hammers and abrasives, a process that would have required generations of patient work for just one sphere. Yet this explanation feels incomplete. The consistency across hundreds of spheres points to a lost technique, a repeatable method for ensuring perfection. Some researchers speculate about the use of controlled heat to make the stone's surface more malleable for shaping. Others propose a unique system of measurement, perhaps involving hanging cords or wooden templates to constantly check for deviations. The true method is a secret the jungle has kept. Their purpose is equally enigmatic. Were they astronomical markers, symbols of social status, or part of a vast, forgotten celestial map laid out upon the ground? They stand as a monolithic puzzle, a silent testament to a culture that invested immense effort not in a fortress or a temple, but in the creation of perfect form. This final journey into geometry and form leads us to one last mystery, a substance that seems to capture light itself. A final mystery sits not in stone or metal, but on the fragile, enduring surface of a book. The Voynich Manuscript is a universe of enigma bound in vellum, filled with illustrations of unknown plants, celestial charts, and countless women bathing in strange, interconnected pools. Yet its greatest secret is not the undeciphered text that flows across its pages in an elegant, entirely unknown script. The true puzzle is the book itself. Scientific analysis confirms the vellum and ink date to the early 15th century in Europe, but their specific composition remains an anomaly. The vibrant colors of its intricate artwork have not faded in over 600 years, and the pages themselves show a remarkable resistance to the wear that typically afflicts medieval manuscripts. This suggests the scribe used a unique, lost formula for both the parchment and the inks, a recipe that provided an unparalleled level of preservation. Modern chemists cannot match its specific formulation with any known historical source. Every attempt to break the code of its words has failed, but the code of its physical creation is just as impenetrable. This book is a locked box with two keys, one made of language and the other of chemistry, and we have lost both. It stands as a silent testament to a forgotten branch of knowledge, a complete information system whose very materials were designed to outlast time, ensuring its mystery would endure long after its purpose was forgotten. These scattered technological marvels are not random anomalies from the past. When we step back and view them as a whole, a powerful and consistent pattern comes into focus. These ancient societies did not seek to conquer nature, but to collaborate with it. Their greatest achievements were born from a deep integration with natural forces, whether it was the Roman concrete using seawater to heal itself, the Viking navigator reading polarized light in a crystal, or the Persian engineer coaxing water through miles of underground tunnels with a perfect gravity-fed slope. This was a fundamentally different philosophy of innovation, one that prioritized long-term sustainability and resilience over immediate speed and scale. A Roman harbor was built to last for millennia, not just for a generation. This stands in stark contrast to our modern industrial paradigm, which often favors specialization and planned obsolescence. Their knowledge was not stored in a single textbook but was woven into the fabric of their culture, passed down through apprenticeships, rituals, and songs. This holistic system of understanding was both its greatest strength and its most profound vulnerability. When those cultural chains were broken by conflict, famine, or simply the passage of time, the knowledge vanished with them, leaving behind silent monuments and unreadable scripts. This reveals a profound truth about progress itself. It is not a single, linear path upward, but more like a great tree with countless branches. Some branches grow strong and define the canopy of our present world, while others, just as robust and full of potential, were pruned away by the shears of history. Recognizing this changes everything. It humbles our assumptions about our own technological supremacy and opens up a vast library of forgotten possibilities for our future. What other branches of innovation have we lost, and what might we rediscover if we learn to look at the world not as a resource to be mined, but as a partner in creation? Our journey through these 25 ancient wonders reveals a humbling and profound truth. The builders of these marvels were not primitive. They were masters of a different kind of science, one that integrated with the natural world in ways our modern engineering is only beginning to comprehend. From the self-healing Roman concrete to the unbreakable chemical code of the Voynich Manuscript, these creations do more than defy recreation. They challenge the very timeline of human innovation we have so carefully constructed. They stand as silent monuments to a recurring cycle of discovery and loss, reminding us that knowledge is not a permanent possession but a flame that can be extinguished by time. This realization forces a fundamental shift in perspective. True progress may not be a relentless forward march, but a journey that sometimes requires us to look backward, to recover the wisdom of paths not taken. Perhaps the greatest lesson these silent stones and enigmatic scripts offer is not a specific formula, but a mindset. It is a lesson in humility, reminding us that our current technological peak is not the only one humanity has ever known. And it is a lesson in boundless curiosity, inviting us to question what we think we know about the past. What other incredible secrets are still waiting, hidden in plain sight or buried deep beneath the sands of time? The conversation does not end here. I would love to hear which of these ancient technologies you find the most baffling. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if you are ready for more journeys into the world's greatest historical mysteries, be sure to subscribe.